Yo, welcome to Magic Cards YouTube. Today, I'm going to be going over my top 10 Brilliant Stars cards. Now, a couple weeks ago, when the format was kind of boring, I went back to Sword and Shield base, and I looked at the top 10 cards from that set, and I kind of used that as a way, that retrospective look to inform myself on this one. So the list won't be surprising, but there's a lot of really cool stuff in here, and I think I'm trying to go with the more long-term approach as opposed to the what's good immediately or what is the best immediately. So everything, what in the long term are just the best cards in the set. We're going to go and start with number 10, and my number 10 is B-Barrel. B-Barrel with that ability, once during your turn you may draw until you have 5 cards in your hand. It's worse than Genesect. It is a stage 1, it's only 5, and you're not going to bench that many of these things realistically. But the ability is still good. You've seen how strong Mew is in the mid and late game of still just drawing through their deck. So if you're able to set up 1 or 2 B-Barrels, you're drawing a heck of a lot of cards. This has synergy too with Ultra Ball from the set. We're able to discard more cards. I'm a big fan. B-Barrel is the type of consistency engine I like to have access to. It's not the best consistency engine, but it is efficient in deck space. You've had those decks before where you're like filling it with a ton of stuff. It's a toolboxy deck and you're like, I can't fit an Entei line in here. My consistency engine is going to be some Crobats and maybe a Primate Wisdom Oranguru. B-Barrel, you can shove a 2-2 line in a deck and suddenly you're drawing more cards. You don't have to shove a 4-4 Minccino line. You don't have to shove a 4-4-2-1 Inteleon line in there. You can just go, I'm going to play a 2-2. It synergizes with Ultra Ball, which you already want to play if your deck is trying to become more consistent. So I'm a fan of the card. It's not broken, but it offers something that we don't have, which is a small package of a bench sitting consistency. Number 9 is Floatzel. Floatzel with the attack Floatify. You don't care about Water Gun. You ain't using Water Gun. But Floatify, put 2 item cards from your discard pile into your hand. Reminiscent of Junk Hunt Sableye from back in the day, which is one of the most powerful cards during its time, both as a tech and as a deck. Floatzel is not quite as powerful because it is a stage 1, but it is also partially a little more powerful because it's a stage 1. Zoroark exists, Cinccino's a stage 1. There's a lot of cool stage 1s. They're very clearly not designing control. They never design control, but they're giving us a lot of control options that are stage 1s and will work with that Phantom Transformation Zoroark. So it just seems like more and more the stage 1 of being a negative is almost becoming a positive. This card historically has been too good. We're just waiting for more and more item cards that the deck is going to want to run for it to become stronger and stronger and stronger. And I would be so shocked if Floatzel at some point isn't a pretty solid tier 2-ish deck. Tier 1 for control is usually pretty rare because if control becomes too good, it becomes easy to counter. But as long as people aren't countering it, Floatzel is going to be pretty darn solid. My number 8 is Entei. Entei is almost an exact reprint of Suicune. Suicune, good. Entei, probably good. Suicune does have some things that make it better than Entei. One of them is less of a retreat cost. 2 instead of 3 is a big deal. The other one is it shares a typing with Ludicolo and Inteleon. You could run the Ludicolo in this. You can run the Inteleon in this. But one of the big issues is Suicune can go Suicune, Suicune, Inteleon, Suicune. Force you to take 7 prizes. Entei can't really do that. You're not going to Raihan a water energy. Well, you're probably not going to Raihan a water energy to an Inteleon. So the card is very good. Fleet-footed, good. Burning Rondo, good. 230 HP on a V Pokemon, good. But I think the fact it's not water type is a bit of a hindrance compared to Suicune. Otherwise, it would be higher on the list. Suicune has been one of the best cards from the set it came out in, which I'm now forgetting what it's called. That middle of the year set. Whatever set that was. Suicune's been one of the best cards. Entei, I don't think is going to reach Suicune levels unless we get fire consistency Pokemon and you can go in with like a single prize fire Pokemon. I mean, you got Moltres. Moltres is in the set. Maybe that's the one, but it just makes it a little awkward at times. So Entei, very good card. Going to be a good deck. I don't think it's going to reach Suicune levels of goodness, though. Maybe a step below it. Number 7 is Manafee. This goes back to the beginning when I mentioned I'm talking about what's going to be good in the long term as opposed to the now. I think Manafee is very good now. Jolteon exists. Rapid Strike Urshifu exists. Sniping decks aren't, well, they're going somewhere. They're going away because of Manafee. But I think in the long term, Manafee is going to lose some of its value. They seem to be going away from that sniping mechanic, that massive 100 or 120 mechanic. I think Manafee is going to lose some of its value. But as of right now, this is a amazing card to add to the format. You've seen this channel. I play a lot of single prize decks lately. I played a lot of that Wheezing, Hoopa, etc. deck. Manafee is something that we need for that deck to survive. This lets Rapid Strike Mally or Leon's Art or whatever survive as well. So Manafee, very good. I think it's going to lose some value as sniping decks become less and less printed. But right now, this would be one of the best cards in the upcoming format just because it lets so many decks actually exist that wouldn't normally exist. Number 6 is Lumineon V. Luminous Sign. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you may search your deck for a supporter card, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle your deck. Heckin' strong card. A lot of times you're like, Crobats, I'm only drawing up until I have 6, so I'm drawing like 3 cards. I really want to bench a 2-prizer to draw 3 cards. Lumineon makes a Quick Ball or an Ultra Ball and out to discard draw 7, or put your hand on the bottom of your deck and draw 5, or any tech supporter, Boss's Orders, or anything cute like a Sharon's Care to heal a Pokemon, anything like that. Lumineon, so good. The question is, are we going to get strong enough supporters in its lifespan to make it that powerful? As of right now, you're going to go grab a Research, Marnie, or Boss. Those are the 3 best supporters. The Lumineon, very, very solid card. Incredibly good ability. Historically a good ability. Jirachi EX was a one of in a handful of decks. And a lot of people who talk about looking back to that format are like, you know, maybe we should have had a little more in there. Tapu Lele GX, Tapu Lele had a better attack. And at 170 HP was a massive tank at the time. So Lele had some positives that Lumineon does not have. This will not be as dominant, but the same idea when Lele came out. You just want the consistency. You just want to go grab cards, grab Pokemon. The Lumineon, heck of a good card. I don't think I'd be shocked if I look back at this list later and I'm like, why was this number 6? This should have been way higher. Number 5 is Magma Basin. Once during each player's turn, they may attach a Fire Energy card from their discard pile to one of their benched fire Pokemon. If you do, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. Energy Acceleration is always good. Having Malamar or Flaffy or whatever ability, Bronzong, this ability has been printed a lot. Not on a stadium. That is something that gives it a ton of value. Instead of having to set up a bunch of bench sitters, you just throw down a stadium. You say, I'm going to Magma Basin to my Entei. That's kind of the obvious one. Moltres is another obvious one. But you can go to Victini, Centiskorch, Charizard V-Star, anything like that. Energy Acceleration on a stadium is so good. It doesn't take a bench spot. It only takes 1 deck slot. You don't have to set it up. You just kind of play it, and then you're good to go. The Magma Basin, incredibly powerful card. I'm a big fan of its design. I think it's cool. Number 4 is Double Turbo Energy. It is double colorless energy, except you do 20 less damage. Double Colorless Energy is another card that historically is ridiculously powerful. I don't think this card's going to be that strong in the upcoming format because there aren't that many cards that abuse it outside of the poster child of the set, which is Arceus V-Star. Otherwise, there's some cute stuff you can do. You have Togekiss. You could play an Umbreon deck that just goes single strike energy plus double turbo energy. You know, there is stuff you can do. As of right now, the card pool doesn't appear to be strong for double turbo energy, but it will be. If you listen to the podcast episode with James and Alex, where they talked about the greatest cards of all time, DCE came up very fast and some very strong opinions on the card, even existing ever. So double turbo energy is just too good of a card not to have high. 20 less damage from opponent's Pokemon is probably fine. You're going to see this card see play in its lifetime as we get more and more cards that can use it. Number 3 is Choice Belt. This Pokemon does 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon V. That includes VMAX, that includes V-Stars. 30 more damage is good. How often is your math just off by a little bit? Choice Belt can fix a lot of the math in a lot of decks. And I think this is going to become a staple in almost every deck. There's going to automatically be like, let's play a Choice Belt in this deck. Just because maybe it's going to let you hit evolving Vs for a knockout instead of a 2-shot. Maybe it's going to let you OHKO a VMAX so you wouldn't normally OHKO. Choice Belt's going to show up. Heckin' good card. My number 2 is Arceus V-Star. I made a whole video explaining everything about why this card is so good. You should go check out that video if you want more details, but TLDR, good attack, good ability, 2-prizer with a lot of HP. and it's colorless. What more do you want from a card? But go check out that video if you want me to go into the depth about why this card's so good. And number one, this goes back to talking about this is a long-term list. The long-term best card, I think, is Ultra Ball. Ultra Ball is not going to be an absolutely broken 4 of staple in every single deck immediately. Inteleon engine, can't really afford to discard too much, but discarding cards is good. That is a very positive thing. You want to be able to discard cards. You want to be able to clear out that hand. You want to be able to discard text that you're not using. And searching your deck for any Pokemon is also so nice. You no longer have to play that awkward split of Quick Ball, Incense. I mean, you're probably still going to play Quick Ball. Quick Ball's a good card. But, you know, you have that like, oh, if this Evolution Incense was a Quick Ball, I'd be fine. Or if it was a Level Ball, I'd be fine. Ultra Ball's every single Pokemon. It also has synergy, discarding for B-Barrel, discarding for Magma Basin, discarding for Melanie. Ultra Ball is such a good card. It's going to be meta for its entire existence, pretty much 100%. The fact it splashes into each and every deck is why I'm putting it at number 1 over other cards that Arceus is good. Arceus is going to be good for its whole lifetime. Choice Belt, very good. Also splashable, though. Double Turbo Energy, Magma Basin, these aren't splashable. Choice Belt is. But Ultra Ball, pretty much every single deck can play Ultra Ball, and most decks will want to play some amount of Ultra Ball. And once the Inteleon engine rotates, we'll see that more and more. Too good of a card not to have at number 1. Let me know what you think of the list. Let me know yours too. There are a couple cards that I think could have shown up on the list. I may have played it a little safe with the consistency cards as opposed to some of the more interesting cards in here. So feel free to let me know. It's entirely possible I missed something. You boys have done that before. Go back and watch any of the old top 10 videos. There are some major misses in some of them, but these are my educated guesses. Like, comment, subscribe, all the other YouTube stuff, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Peace out.